Hi everybody, this is Clarine from Enrini's room. Today we're going to make a really fun card. It's going to be for a man and it's a birthday card. Lots of layers, which makes it a lot of fun. This is the front. You open it up and here's the inside, and then you can put either a little tag in there, place to write your sentiment, and you can also put in some money, whatever fits the occasion. I'm going to use some brackets, which are always kind of fun to make too. So let's get started. All right, I'm going to put this over here. There's a lot of little parts and pieces, so I'm going to give you the measurements as we go along. The first thing we're going to cut is the base for the card, and that is going to be one strip that is 4 1/4 by 11, and then I'm going to score it in the middle at 5 1/2, and then it folds over, and that's the base for our card. And then we're going to put a front on it. I selected a little bit of a panel looking material, and this is 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to go ahead and stick that down. And I'm just going to center it in the front here. Now I went ahead and colored my edges with these colored pens that I use all the time. You can always use distress ink. This is Cali Art. It's a nice wet pen, so it does a good job. Alright, so there's our base. Now we're going to start cutting out those little pieces, and boy, we got a lot of them. Alright, this first one is going to be this long brown part, and we're going to cut a panel that is 1 3/4 by 4 3/4. That's going to be going right down here. The piece that goes on top of that is 1 1/2 by 4 1/2, and that's going to go right on top of that one. So I'm just going to put that on too. We'll just kind of build this as we go along. I'm just centering that in the middle. Scooch him over a little bit. There we go. And that just goes over about a 1/4 inch to maybe a little less than 1/2, just so that it takes up the left side of the card front. That on there. Oh, wait. Not sure that's straight. Oh, good. I was able to get it up. There we go. It was a little crooked. Can't have that. All right, the other piece we're going to cut is the middle section, and we need a piece that is 1 1/2 by 4. And then on top of that, we're going to put this little banner, and it measures 1 3/4 by 4 3/4. And I went ahead and cut in to give the little banner edge there. And I'm going to mount it on the back, on the solid one first, and then I'll cut it out. I kind of do this if I'm putting a border around pieces. So I'm going to put this down here, allowing a little bit of a 1/4 inch on the edges. Like that. And then I'm just going to snip a little 1/4 inch edge around the middle. Boom, right like that. going to level this off a little bit. There we go. This piece is going to go on the top here. So I'm going to kind of eyeball where I want it to go. This was actually a scrap of paper, so I want it to be up a little bit. So I'm going to cut it off up here. About like that. And one fun thing about layering is that no two cards ever come out the same, because you eyeball what you want it to do and somebody else will do it another way. So it's going to fit about like that. Now before I put that on, I have some little tabs that are going to come out. So I took a piece of contrasting paper, which is already cut, but this is my contrasting paper. And it is, the strip I cut was 2 by 4. And then I took those and cut 6 half-inch strips, which looked like this. And then I just snipped up on the edges. Now I'm not putting any coloring around these, I just wanted them to be open. So I'm laying them down and just scooching them underneath this before I put it down. They're going to go about like that. I'm just spacing them under there. If you think that 5 is too much, you may want to put in 3 or maybe stagger them down, whatever you want to do. There we go. That's where they're going to go. Now before I put those down, I think we ought to go ahead and put on the brackets, because there's some little brackets that I wanted to put across the top. And they are right here. So, put those guys on. I'm going to take my pokey tool. And this is a little, I don't know what this is called. It's a soft bar of some kind. You could use styrofoam, I suppose. That would work good. But it allows you to poke holes without making holes in your desk. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this down, and I'm going to just go round and round, make a big hole there. I'm going to put 3 across there. I only put 2 on my original one, but I think it looked better with 3. So I'm going to do that. Put those right in there. See how that makes a nice big hole? I don't know if you can see that. And then you take these itty bitty little brackets, which are kind of hard to get the backing off of them. I'm going to probably wish I had used bigger brackets, but I'm into it now, so let me go ahead and there we go, and poke that in there. Oops. Well, this is going to take a while. Get that in there. Okay, and then you just open up the back side of them, and down they go. And let me get this other one. Boy, make sure you got a good light when you work on this one. Yeah, I think next time when I make this, I'm going to use bigger brads. Okay. Well, you know what? That's crazy. This is using up camera time, isn't it? Okay, get that in there. And another one. Come on, Brad, get in there. Okay, there we go. All right, so those are nice and flat. And those are going to lay right down here. So we want to have our little flag sticking out to the side, and that's going to be about 3/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to make a little dot there. And flip this guy over, and on this side, because that's where these guys are going to be laying, I'm just going to glue them down. But make sure your brads are pointing in the right direction so that they don't poke out. There we go. Okay, so this part's going to get glue on it. And my glue doesn't want to come out, so let me, there we go. Put the glue there. Make sure I have that where I want it. Let me just flip it over a little bit. Yeah, that's good. Right like that. I'm going to lay these others on there. And double check it, make sure. You could even stagger them if you wanted to. You could have them, you know what, I don't think 5 are going to fit in there. I'm just going to put 3. This is turning out to be a very interesting card. Sometimes you just got to switch gears and go with what looks good. I'll put that in the middle. And that's going to get glued down right here. Kind of offsetting it. I don't want them to be level at the top. And before I glue that down, I want to make sure that these circles are going to fit. This is the other circle that you're going to be cutting out. Out of a solid piece, you're going to, I used a punch. I used a 2 1/4 inch punch. And then for the pattern paper, I used a 2 inch punch. And just punched those out. So let me put the pattern down first. And that just goes in the center. There we go. And I want to make sure that these are all going to fit on here before I glue it down. So I'm just kind of moving them around. I want to stay inside the perimeter of the card. So I'm thinking something like that would go good. So I'm gonna glue this one down because it's kind of thicker. Because it's got all those extra pieces. Double check. That's going to fit there. This is going to go about here. So I'll just keep that in position and glue it down. There we go. And then this is going to lay here. And then we're going to have a happy birthday. This little sentiment is one that I made up. And it just says, happy birthday to you. You know, guys, they don't like anything too fancy, but they want you to spend some time on what you're making for them. So I'm going to do this the same way that I backed those others. I have a scrap of the brown cardstock, and I'm going to glue my sentiment down. And get the little edge that I want, which is about 1/4 of an inch. That. Burnish that a little bit. And then I'll just cut off the other edge to equal where I put it down at. Like that. Now I'm going to use pop-ups for this, just to kind of give it a little different look. And underneath it, we're going to do another one of those little banners. So if you cut a piece of brown paper, just out of scrap paper, that's 1 1/4, that's going to be for the little back, the backing of this little tag that's going to be on there. And this is 3/4 by 2. And I already cut out the little snip where I'm going to be attaching that. So let me glue this onto the brown. And I'll just put it up here. Like that. And then I'll clip the little edge. Yeah. This is going to go under the happy birthday on top of the circle. And that's pretty big, but I'm going to leave it. Let me just trim this a tiny bit. Maybe we don't need quite that much around it. And that'll fit under here, and then the whole thing will fit right on the top. Okay, so let me glue this in place. Not in the exact middle, but it's pretty close to this, the middle of that edge. We're just adding dimensions and layers, and you know, they can end up any place you want them to be. Okay, I'm going to push that in a little bit more. There we go. About like that. Then I'm going to put pop-ups on the back. And put those guys down. And I'll stick another one in the middle just to make sure they don't sag. Don't want a sagging card. Okay, so this is going to go about in here. And then my circle, I have to bring that up a little bit. It's going to go right in there. So I'm going to put this first, and then I'll put my circle underneath it. Because this is popped up, I can mess around with it a little bit. About like that, I think. Yeah. So making sure my edges are all lining up too. There we go. Got my pop up. And this is just going to slide in under here. So I'm going to end up cutting part of that away. Watch this. Boom. About in there, but it's still not fitting, so let me do it this way. A little bit more. There we go. Cool. All right, so I'm going to put that on there. And I'll put this on with glue because it's going under the pop-ups. Gives you a little bit of room to work with. Depending on how your edges come out, yours may fit right under them. You just never know. There we go. So I'll just glue him down there. There we go. Isn't that cute? I just love playing with layers. The brackets are a little small. Next time I'm getting bigger brackets. Okay, so let's do the inside real quick. Let's open this up, and I'm going to cut, whoops, drop something. We're going to be cutting one piece for the backing where you could write a sentiment, and that is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. This is just a plain sheet of white. Glue that on. I'm sorry, tape it on. And I'll center that on this bottom part. There we go. Burnish that a little bit. Got little bits and pieces and scraps all over the place here. Okay. So then we're going to take that solid paper and we're going to cut a square that's 3 1/2 and then just cut it diagonally. That's going to go down here in the corner. And then on top of that, we'll put a patterned piece of paper and you cut that 3 1/4 square and diagonally. That'll go right on top of there. So let's put that on. I'm just going to put a little strip of glue on just the 2 sides, like that. And I'll put it right up against the edge of that white. Go. And then this goes on the top. And again, I already colored the edges. You don't have to color your edges. It just gives it a more finished look, I believe. But it's like anything else. You're the one who's making it. If you like the look without it, then you do it without it. Okay, and I'm just centering those edges. Put that down. Okay. Now, I'm going to put a circle in here as well. Right like that. And I wanted to put 3 brackets in here. And I'm sorry to use up camera time to do it, but I just think it adds so much. Gives it a kind of a rustic, manly look. So I'm going to go ahead and do that again. Let me glue the colored one on there. Maybe I'll get lucky and the brads will open up magically. I'll just put that in here. There we go. And I love mixing the colors and layering and everything. I just enjoy it. So you do what you like to do and add what you want to add. There's my pokey tool. And I'll just put like a little pokey hole here. And squish it around. And then another one up here. And just the third right over here. I think this came from Stampin' Up. Don't even know what it's called, but gosh, it's really handy to have around. And let me put this in there. There we go. Another one. Okie dokie, and one more. Almost put it on backwards. There we go. Yeah, these brads are tiny, but they look awfully cute. Isn't that fun? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stick this on with pop-ups as well. And these little brads are just laid in flat. Put my pop-ups here. And another one here. Whoops. Can't go out too far. Let me back up here. Because these are going to go here, but I'm not laying it on here. There's about half of it that has to be open. So I'm going to put this pop-up here. So watch that when you put yours on. There we go. And we'll just put that kind of in the center like that. Press it down. Pretty cool, huh? Okay. And then what I did was I took, I made a tag, and this says, perfect day. You know, fish just jumping out of the water, and off you go. And this has a back side as well. So I'm just going to put a little tag ribbon on there. I got the fish off of clip art on the internet. I just push this through here. Yep. And this is just a regular hole punch. And just pull it through. And then you can loop it around. Like that. Oh, and don't pull too hard because you don't want to mess up that hole there. Sometimes they get too much pressure on there and you lose the little hole punch. And then I'm just going to trim this a little bit. Like that. And I'll just slide it in here. Okay, so here's your card. This is your happy birthday to you. And then there's your inside. Oops. Give it a little more bend up there so he stands up. So there you have it. Happy birthday to you. Okay, thanks a bunch for stopping by.